state of the race. This 5 days left to the general election. Let's get to that conversation. With me in studio is Professor Oweri Tumbo on my father's left, who is a political commentator, and Kevin Osido, who is from the Executive Director of the County Governance Watch. Yesterday, we saw NASA campaign in Kisii. Today, they are in Narok and Kericho. Jubilee today is in Mombasa. Yesterday, they were in Eldoret. President Uhuru Kenyatta was launching a number of development projects there. With just 5 days to go, Prof, I'll start with you. How do you analyze the state of the race?
In general, it's close. It's very close. You realize that the cycle has changed. Initially, Jubilee was going to those stops that NASA had held meetings to solicit for votes. Now,
NASA is
going to all those stops where Jubilee has made a visit. Now, in my opinion, this is a stage at which they should be summarizing their message, repackaging where necessary, and disseminating it in a manner that people will understand and at the same time give it direction. Now, you get the feeling that both campaigns are rather tired. Right now, I sense a bit of pettiness, a bit of fatigue, a bit of anger, a bit of everything, which suggests that they are not going to have enough time to repackage their message properly so that it's clearly understood. Now, at this point, it's also at the same time when none of the parties should make any serious errors. Because now, a little error
is injury time.
And if you make an error now, your opponent will jump on it and amplify its impact. And that's what the voter is likely to take along going to the ballot box.
Kevin, Prof is saying that it looks like we are getting, the political class is drained with all, that's why we're probably seeing all these emotions around.
That's true, but again, if you look at the context of our elections right now, a lot of things are happening, many of them quite unfortunate incidents, and quite exactly to say that the loss of the IEBC IT manager is a serious hit back to the commission, as much as, yes, we are seeing this long-standing and, of course, bravely speaking commissioners led by the chairman assuring Kenyans, because election security, in my view, really presents the core and the crust of the issue, so much such that, yes, the politicians will run left, right, and center, but at the end of the, once everything has been said and done, what is this thing that is still, that will be waiting to be said? And that will be really incumbent upon the IEBC. And the IEBC's preparedness, therefore, really has a lot of impact in the state of the race, because there is going to be a time when elections are actually going, the referee is going to make the final whistle. And once that is done, it will be upon the IEBC. And so how the IEBC picks up all these issues, and also, and you note that Mr. Sando was one of those people that was really credited with the, let me call it, the integrity of this election. So how the Secretariat and the commissioners are also going to pick up themselves and stand tall and say, yes, Kenya, we are going to deliver a good election for you, is really going to be something worth looking at in so far as the state of the race is concerned.
Early on in a conversation, you were in that particular conversation on opinion polls, and there seemed to be a unanimous agreement that most Kenyans have made up their minds about who they are going to vote for. In these 5 days, and with campaigns hitting fever pitch, is there a chance that they could collect numbers, especially from these areas they're concentrating on?
There is a chance, because you note that we're talking about 2.2%. This is about, yes, we have about 5 million newly registered voters, and in about 4 weeks ago, a month ago, there were more or less that the undecided voters were quite many, but now we are talking about less than 430,000. That's about 2,000, I mean 2.2% of 19 million. Now, looking at this, because these are the people who are going to decide who the next president of the Republic is going to be. Because if you look at these opinion polls again, and we note and we all recognize that our politics is zoned off. In fact, zoning in the sense that you therefore map the coalitions. Where do they have strong strengths, and of course bases. And that therefore means that regardless of how many times President Uhuru Kenyatta campaigns in Kitui and the number of times that Honorable Raila Odinga will go to Kiambu, all those travels and traffics might not change a lot because these people have, as we said earlier on and will continue to say, a manner in which Kenyans are going to vote is not determined by the issues at hand or basically the amount of narrative that you're going to present into the, to the electorate, but it's about what does the candidate say and how closely am I to the candidate. And closeness here is ethnic basis. Ethnic basis is what is going to determine this, and that is a very unfortunate thing for us as a country because we have devolved governance here, which is supposed to therefore play a very key role in how much issues affect the way we look at things and how we vote there.
Yes, Prof.
To follow up from what he said, it's extremely unfortunate that the referee is injured. I mean, that the referee is injured before a match, all right, makes the match even more contentious.
Yeah.
In other words, the referee will be limping while refereeing the match. And in this particular case, one of the things that we must really worry about is, and we did not get details of this for obvious reasons, who is the standby referee to make sure that the match is played properly up to the end. Now, critically, if you look very carefully, this injury to the referee or part of the referee's team, the linesman, has created a situation whereby the issues that should be discussed during the election have been sidelined, such that now the major issues to help you determine the outcome of the election is injury to the referee. Now, is this likely to have an emotional impact on some of the players? Is it likely to have new political prejudices aroused as a result of this? Now, if you look clearly at the numbers, what he just mentioned about how many times President Uhuru Kenyatta may visit a NASA stronghold, right now, that doesn't matter. The things that are on the table right now are the things that are emotionally relevant and emotionally rewarding to some people and injurious to other people. Let's just pray that this does not translate into taking the law into people's hands. And this is why I think it's important that there is need to emphasize this thing about peace, peace, peace. The reason being that if these events keep taking center stage, some people may say this is interruption with justice. This is interference with justice. Others are going to say, we don't know how it occurred. So for me, from where I sit, what is critical here now, as I said before, is the messaging. If the messaging from stakeholders is not right, it's going to be a problem. In addition, I want to wander into this area where we are going to talk about simulation. Yes. Simulation of kuras. In my opinion, simulation is extremely important. But what is more important is results transmission risk analysis. Which aspects of that transmission process are most vulnerable, all right, to hacking, to interference, to all sorts of manipulation.
So for you, that is the one thing you would want to be really addressed? Really
addressed, because even if you do a simulation, there are lessons to be learned. In other words, when you do a simulation, there is a framework for carrying out that simulation. Now, if you look at that simulation, the chain of events in that simulation exercise should expose to you what areas need most attention in order to develop preventive measures. So a risk analysis framework should be accompanying this. And if it isn't there, I plead with them to look at it, because that way then you will be quite sure that if there is a problem, it will be addressed immediately.
For you, Kevin, what are the steps you would want the IEBC to undertake in the next 5 days before we get to the election?
Akisa, for me, I want to know who killed Christopher Msando, because all this simulation, not that your intro to this segment was that IEBC postponed this process from Monday to today. And this, you know, also affects the election timetable, because today other things should have been happening. So as much as IEBC is busy also working on its own frameworks and what they need to do to give us a good election, we need to be told as Kenyans who killed Christopher and why was he killed, because his killing and his killers are Of course, this is closely very related to the elections. And as we continue to say, Kenyans expect a credible election that is also very clear given the kind of systems. And we are talking about KIMS, which is an integrated election management system. So many things are also linked, including tallying is linked to this simulation, because this is purely telling us what will be going on. But how much information do we know that was taken away from Christopher, which therefore affects the credibility of this process? So in my view, I am not expecting anything more than that we will be able to give, IEBC will be able to give Kenyans a free, fair, credible election, and that will be able to be told by the security mechanisms who killed Christopher and why was Christopher killed. Because 6 days to an election, and today is the 5th day, and a very important figure in the game is assassinated like we are hearing. And note again that IEBC has been having plenty of security meetings with the security team headed by the IG. We therefore need to be told what is the impact of Christopher's killing to the 2017 elections. What does it mean? Because as we said earlier on, there is going to be a point when the state of the race, the referee is going to blow the final whistle, and all eyes will be on IEBC. Will IEBC be able to deliver a free, fair, and credible election for Kenya?
Now,
quickly, we need to wind up. Yes.
Quickly, there is an important aspect. One does not expect anybody to give you a reply right now who killed Musani, because there is a process. Now, but if you look at it logically, analytically, who may have had most grievance about the process being carried out transparently, fairly, and credibly? Now, the answers are various, but you can see quite clearly that whoever was involved in Chris's murder, and besides that, there is torture. Now, once there is torture, it means that there is a vested interest in the message, in the toolkit that Chris was carrying along. So while we will not get the name of who is responsible, I think you can let the citizens decide by themselves what may have caused Chris's death and how this would have impacted on the outcome of the election.
And this remains to be the unanswered questions here. We will definitely continue to analyze that. Professor Tumbo is a political commentator. Kevin Osido, Executive Director, the County Governance Watch. We are almost approaching the end of our afternoon, the first segment of our afternoon coverage of Kivumbi 2017. We'll take a short break. My colleague Moses Wahisi will be coming in next with the sports news. Find out what is making big news in the world of sports. Don't go too far. This is Kivumbi 2017.
Kivumbi 2017 for all your election coverage.